Well, all right, y'all. All across the USC, Compton, Watts, Bay to LA, Pomona, California, from valley to valley, we represent that killer Cali. So if you keeping it real on your side of your town, you tune in to Gangsta Chronicles.
Gangsta Chronicles, we gon' tell you how it goes.
If I lie, my nose will grow like Pinocchio. We gon' tell you the truth and nothing but the truth.
Gangsta Chronicles, this is not your average show.
You're now tuned into the real MC8, Big James, and Big Steel.
This is strictly from the streets.
Hello.
We represent the James.
System is kind of, because we do a lot of stuff. I'm with that. I'm with self-accountability and everything. But it's just really tripping me out, man, that you really can't make no mistakes no more. That it can really cost you in the long run.
You can make mistakes, but you got to know how to make the mistakes. And
sometimes your mistakes are consequences.
Exactly. But check this out. We know when we go to jail, if you say something, they write that shit down. Ain't no computer. They don't set a motherfucking computer down right there and just make it look at you, and then now they got all this bullshit. If you sitting here talking, they gonna write that shit down. But they write it down the way they want to write it down, the way they hear it. Now this shit goes to a goddamn DA, and the DA say, okay, well, kind of like admitting that we got a case here. You see what I'm saying? It's how the pencil work. When the police pull us over in the car, it's how the pencil work. How you write that ticket. Why I pulled him over, how fast you was going the whole nine. So, if you learn how to pay attention to what's going on, you know they the dictators. So you got to be a certain kind of way. You be a dick, you going to jail, or they going to take your car. If you're on the yes sir for just the 10, 15 minutes you encounter, you right there with them. It all depends on how you act, man. If you act like an asshole, they're going to treat you like an asshole. If you say, yes, sir, man, I didn't know what, you know what I'm saying? They really ain't tripping off you because, okay, he ain't that bad. I'm going to give you a break. You know what I'm saying? But we got to learn how to deal with the system. You got to play the game pretty much. The way the game come to you, you got to learn how to play it. If you don't understand it, you shouldn't be out in the motherfucking streets committing crimes. If you don't understand that shit.
Man.
A drive-by, the police is in the motherfucking car looking for that fast car that's speeding by and driving reckless, trying to get the fuck away from the scene. No, motherfucker. Do the regular speed limit. Every time they drive right past you, niggas duck down. They gonna drive past you. 9 times out of 10, if they see a woman in the motherfucking car, they gonna really keep going. So you gotta learn how to play the goddamn game. I'm serious, man.
Play the system, man.
You gotta if you don't understand what you're doing, your surroundings, man, this is how you fall off, and a lot of cats get caught slipping.
Yeah, that was James McDonald wisdom. I hope y'all out there taking notes. So, Greg, man, I don't like to say conspiracy, man, because I'm all for accountability, man. I just think some of these situations are designed for certain people to fail, man.
They are.
It's just designed for certain people to fail because my kids, all of our kids grew up way different than we did. You know what I mean? They grew up way different. I took mine to the suburbs, raised in the suburbs, been active, made sure I was active in their life, you know, sports, everything else, you know, like that. All older son graduated from college, got another son that's a semester away from getting his bachelor's already, then 2 semesters away, and then got a 16-year-old daughter that got her own business. So I raised these kids just way different than I was. I told them, you know, my pops was telling me, you ain't shit, you know what I mean? You know, we got that sometimes. They ain't know no better, but I just raised my kids way different, man. This, but you got the guy on the other side of the tracks, right? This dude is from father in jail. Mother got to go to work, so he's staying with his grandma. She taking care of the other grandkids too, so she ain't really watching them. He wound up growing up around there. He grew up, and that's all he knew. It's like he been dealt a bad hand from the beginning, but eventually he gets older and changes his life, playing basketball, rapping, doing whatever else he do, and a motherfucker comes back and say, you know what? Back when you wasn't shit and didn't have it, you know what I'm saying, didn't have it together, didn't have no opportunities, we go, fuck all the good shit you did, we going back here and go pop your ass because of that. That's what it sounds like to me. Do you think there's any way we can redefine these laws, man, and make them a little bit less broad?
Well, they're always challenged, these, because oftentimes the government does overreach, and that's for a reason. Doesn't make it right, but they do overreach. One of the reasons that you overreach is because you want to mitigate going to trial. Mm-hmm. So you charge somebody with something where he's going to plead down, and everybody avoids trial, and just it's just the system is designed to operate more efficiently that way. Not saying it's right or wrong, but this is just the way it is. So I don't, but these laws are always being challenged. And sometimes successfully and sometimes unsuccessfully. So there, you constantly have groups that'll say, hey, we just think that this particular approach to doing things is wrong. It's challenged. Sometimes you get ahead, sometimes you don't make any progress at all. But, the system is what the system is, and it has to have these checks and balances. And obviously it always needs to be reevaluated to see if it can be improved. But I actually think it is usually improving. Then I think that again, I think that the way it's done today is better than the way it was done 20 years ago.
No, yeah, for sure.
And hopefully in 20 years from now, it's going to be even better than it is today. So
yeah, time just changes shit.
So I guess it's gonna always be some kind of collateral damage. That's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the system is organic. I don't know that it's necessarily designed to the like what you might be suggesting. I think it's just organic. It's all these different components colliding, and people get hurt collaterally in those collisions. But if there is all kinds, if everybody is either community based or individually based, just holding each other accountable and holding each other up, most certainly that's going to improve the scenario.
That's cool too, but then the system actually failed you too because they know. There's been some cases where they know you're not guilty, but just because it's election time, they book your ass. They give you all of this time. They give you more time than they would give another for marijuana. For half of these, I know a lot of cats that walked out of that motherfucker with 5 years for murder. But
so
they
that I
break it
do
down
agree
to,
with.
you know what I'm saying?
I agree that the system is very arbitrary, that it's not consistent across the board.
Exactly.
And so that is absolutely something that's disturbing.
We've seen that for a long time.
Right.
Like, certain shit is designed, I feel, certain laws are designed because they attract.
And then it's cold because if a white boy do a murder and he got money, he's gonna beat that shit.
Exactly.
But if a white boy do a murder that's broke, you're going to prison.
But that applies to, I see, and that's where I don't necessarily draw the race distinction, but I definitely draw.
I'm talking about white. A white. If a white guy that's broke, and that's why they say black or white.
Mm-hmm.
White. If what they call poor trash white guy commit a murder, he's going to jail for that murder. But if a white guy with money, and that means he can buy these lawyers and spend all of this money. If he spend a lot of money, he got a better chance of getting out of this. That
applies to everybody. It doesn't matter. If you have that money and you can provide that first-rate defense, then you're most likely going to get.
Look at OJ.
You come out across. And that's another thing that I think is disturbing. It's disturbing that you can be equally guilty and yet buy your freedom.
Right. Well, I think everything is designed. Everything. I watch Western movies.
Right.
Every crime that's committed today was committed in the 1800s. Every crime. Bank robberies. Car stealing.
No horse thieving these days.
Well, ain't nobody really what's going. But there's some motherfuckers that
they stealing horses.
Stealing
horsepower.
Shit.
But I think. Everybody just got to really look at life for what it is.
Definitely.
And where you want to be. Do you want to exist in life, or do you want to be a part of life?
That's some deep shit.
I don't want to just exist. I want to be a part of life. And I want to be able to, everything that I learned from my grandfather. I'm trying to give it to my grandson. Everything that I took from my father, my grandson will never see none of that. He ain't gonna have no part of that. And that's me knowing what's right, and that's me knowing what's wrong and applying it. And and this is how I stop him from wanting to be a me. This stops my grandson from wanting to be like his cousin.
Breaks the cycle.
Because it breaks it. It's
breaks
done.
the cycle.
And that's
it.
all we got to do is apply ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because we done wrong. I done did a lot of wrong.
We've learned how to disassociate from what we thought was everything to growing up and figuring out this is what's everything here.
Right.
Family, structure, and being able to show that you are a better person than the person that you thought fucked you up.
Right.
You get me? So that's just in a nutshell.
Yeah, you know what?
For you and your kind of like evolution, did you went and pursued opportunity as opposed to having opportunity presented to you? Is that fair to say?
I started rapping because I fell in love with rapping because I took a trip to Mississippi and was introduced to rap music. So when I came back, it kind of intrigued me because I was always one of the motherfucking kids at school who was intrigued with the other side of life. Even though I gang banged, I used to watch Soul Train. Even though I gang banged, I used to read books, and I used to still go to school and get grades, even though I was banging like a motherfucker. I just had a mama at home who was from Gulfport, Mississippi, and would whoop the shit out my ass with a switch in the front yard. If I wanted to go to school. So,
Hey, I want to give a disclaimer too. If y'all heard some candy in the background, don't send me no little them fucked up ass inboxes.
No, that
Stop
was-
eating candy on the show. That was eight's ass.
That was ice, and it wasn't candy.
Hey, look.
I was drinking some water. So
I got
y'all
this.
Finally get a chance to let the real one speak. Gangsta Chronicles. What's the word?